A lot of the policies I actually agree with, but I don't think Scotland should have to wait for the next Jeremy Corbyn to come along. When I'm coming home, it feels great, for want of a better term, because it's going home, you know. It's a snap back to reality. It just keeps you in touch with the people that you're representing. But on a personal level, it's also brilliant because I get to see my family and my friends, but fundamentally I don't want to be in London. I don't want to have to get a flight in order to go and do my job and to go to a parliament. I think our parliament should be back up the road.
But Mhairi Black's personal journey from the town halls of Paisley during the fiery independence referendum campaign and the defeat has only deepened her determination to win independence for her generation.
I think the very fact that unionists are constantly banging on about a second referendum shows that even they can feel that Scottish independence will be inevitable at some point.
Mhairi Black was in Edinburgh to hear the First Minister announce what role she'll be playing in next year's elections for the Scottish Parliament.
I've also asked our youngest MP, the talented and inspirational Mhairi Black, to spearhead our youth campaign.
Backstage, she caught up with the party leader.
You are inspirational to young people. You've made such a big impact for somebody so young, but to have such a clear and principled idea of why you're in politics.
Mhairi Black may be a nationalist, but her impact is UK-wide, as I witnessed some 400 miles south of her constituency. We were back in London at Camden School for Girls, where 150 pupils, including some boys, had gathered during their lunchtime to be captivated by a politician only 3 years older than many of the sixth formers.
I was trending in Nigeria, right?
That was in the aftermath of her maiden speech in the House of Commons. It was viewed 10 million times online.
I just said what people must be thinking, because I know I was thinking it. That's all I did. Because see that kind of honesty, that is what politics is crying out for just now. It's crying out for ordinary people.
Questions came thick and fast from all ages.
Do you think that anyone can be a politician?
Do you see like a future for SNP and Labour maybe joining in the next election?
How do you think Corbyn's recent election will impact your party?
Does the SNP have any plans to kind of switch on the disengaged people?
Do you think that politics has kind of lost its true purpose of trying to help the vulnerable and those in need and become more of a big popularity contest?
After the applause, they gathered around her for more.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Hi, pal.
Thank you very much for coming.
No, thank you for giving up your lunchtime to come and speak to me. Yeah, sure.
Afterwards, she and I climbed the stairs to the school's music room. And the first big discovery. She's obsessed with both the film and the ship, Titanic. Mhairi, we walk into the music room, you make straight for the piano and you play the theme from Titanic.
Yeah.
What is it about Titanic?
I've just always been obsessed with it, to be honest. Film and the actual ship.
But I mean, the film came out when you were 4.
Yeah. And
did you see it then?
My auntie let me see it, much to my mum's protest. But no, I've always loved the film.
There's no politics in it.
No, there's not, surprisingly. It's one of the few areas of my life there's not. And I lost it.
We are speaking on the anniversary of the independence vote. Mm-hmm. Will there be another one before 5 years is up?
I don't know whether it'll be before 5 years, but I have no doubt it'll be in my lifetime. You know, I think people, even unionists, can feel that independence is inevitable, and it is inevitable.
Well, that's in tune with what Alex Salmond did, what was said, once in a generation. You don't think sooner?
I think what's happened is people have given this union one more shot. And I think as time goes on, it is inevitable that people will see the failings of this system and how this system ultimately can't give Scotland what it needs and what it deserves.
I mean, there's a natural post-electoral hostility because they lost so much. I mean, Labour.
Yeah.
Can you see a coming together, or do you think they're always going to resent the SNP and they won't work any kind of alliance with? Or do you think Corbyn will change that?
I mean, a lot of that is up to them. You know, the SNP's always been very clear in saying that if there is an issue that we agree on, we'll work together on it. So what it's about is, I mean, Corbyn is actually in agreement with some of our things, for instance, Trident. But like he said last night, Jeremy Corbyn being against Trident isn't enough for Labour. Labour has to be against Trident. So that's where I think a lot of the ball is in their court.
If he were to prevail within the party and start producing change, then it would become a threat to you in Scotland, because they'd come up there and try and fight you.
Oh no, definitely. I have no doubt that it would make elections far more interesting, but it also brings home why do we want independence, you know? And like I say, a lot of the policies I actually agree with, but I don't think Scotland should have to wait for the next Jeremy Corbyn to come along.
You are one of fewer than 400 women who've ever sat in the House of Commons since 1918. What do you make of the gender divide?
I mean, it's shocking, it's really poor, and it says a lot about Westminster, and I think their attention should be turned as to why so few women. We're in work voting till 2 o'clock in the morning. If you've got young children, how are you supposed to do that? You know, it's one of the things that was great when the Scottish Parliament was getting built, was they specifically designed it so that it could include more women, and I think it's worked. Don't get me wrong, there's still work to do, but it has clearly made a difference, considering we've got so many women in the Scottish Parliament, so many women leaders in the Scottish Parliament. So I think it all ties into Westminster's outdated approach. It seems that there's a pompousness about it of, we are Westminster. What do you mean we have to change? You should feel privileged to be in here.
Is politics churning around in your head morning, noon and night?
Yeah. Politics is life, you know.
But what do you do to relax?
To relax, I'll either talk to my friends or I watch the X Factor. So I don't even like the X Factor, but I'll just watch it because it's easy, you know, it's easy viewing. But I'll talk to my friends, I'll play the guitar, I'll think about Titanic. Now, there are certain things that I'm not able to do that other 21-year-olds are able to do. And yes, that does get me down sometimes, but then at the same time...
we've got a party Tuesday night. Go on. And you can't.
Right, so things like that, but at the same time, you weigh that up against the fact of you can really change people's lives. I mean, look at the response I got in this school. That's a whole lot of young minds that, for want of whatever reason, have been set alight for some reason, and I've played a part in that. That's fantastic. That's something that's way more important than going to a party on a Tuesday night, and it's something that's much more worthwhile, and to be honest, is much more fulfilling than, you know, going out till 5 in the morning.